Can Desmond Ridder play a clean game? And are the Falcons already in week 1 entering a must-win scenario?
You are Locked On Falcons, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everyone, to another illustrious episode of the Locked On Falcons podcast, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code all lowercase LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. So, guys, if you don't know me, I'm your very humble host, Aaron Freeman. Covered the Falcons for many years, formerly at falcons.com RIP. You may also know me as Sirius Black. You may also know me as Mr. Drew. My friends call me Negative Nancy, but you can call me Mr. Drew. But you can become one of my friends by becoming an everydayer of this podcast. And all you got to do is make us your first listen each and every day. And then just subscribe, follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, and you will get the latest episode as soon as it is available. So if you are watching us on YouTube, right, you notice my guest on today's episode that is none other than Jarvis Davis, our regular guest here to wrap up the week where we talk about the keys to victory. You know Jarvis. He is part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. There's a slight transition going on, so I don't know exactly what your title is now.
Locked On Sports Atlanta, dude. Yeah, you can just call me a dude. I'm a dude for now.
So we'll give Jarvis a chance to plug sort of the changes and sort of a new format coming for Locked On Sports Atlanta in the coming days as well. So that will be something that Jarvis will plug a little bit later in the show, but we're talking about the Atlanta Falcons. Jarvis and I will be joined by a third person on our postcast on Sunday. That's one of those changes, none other than Tanisha Batiste. And we will break down our reactions to this week 1 action between the Falcons and Panthers. But Jarvis, as I always do, as I did throughout last year, you know, what is sort of the key to victory for the Falcons to come away with a victory so that when we're on that postcast Sunday afternoon, we're talking about a Falcons win?
The first thing that comes to mind is that, hey, don't turn the football over, right? Desmond Ridder has to play clean. And when I mean, he doesn't have to play perfect, but when I say clean, the guy has to make sure he doesn't turn the football over. And to be honest with you, I kind of want him to take some shots because, you know, a lot of times people include that in there, like, oh, make sure you don't try to force the football. No, I think that, you know, you have enough of a rapport with a guy like Drake London. Hey, you can throw him the ball, you know, a 50-50 ball, because you know that you got that certain level of comfortability with him. And from a connection standpoint, I think you can take some chances with him. And also, I feel like Arthur Smith needs to come with a good game plan, right? You know, being able to be creative and throwing different formations at Carolina's defense, because they have a new defensive coordinator. They're making a transition as far as from their base defense. So, you know, Avero coming from the Denver Broncos, he's going to bring a little bit of a different type of swag to the defensive coordinator from play calling standpoint. So there'll be some guys like Derek Brown maybe moving around. Instead of lining up over the nose, he might be in that 1 or 3 technique. So those are some of the things that I think that Arthur Smith's going to have to pay attention to when he's coming up with his game plan. But I think overall, the main thing is to make sure Desmond Ridder plays clean.
Yeah, I think that's a great point there, Jarvis. You mentioned Ejiro Evero, the new Panthers defensive coordinator. He comes from that, you know, Brandon Staley, Vic Fangio coaching tree on defense. Had a lot of success in Denver last year in his first year as a DC, and sort of the brand of defense at that scheme, that Fangio style defense is, we don't want to give up the big play, but there will be opportunities in this game to generate some of those big plays. It may not just simply be, hey, you know, run down the field and we'll throw it 40 yards down the field. right? Those are the types of plays that this defensive scheme is going to try to take away. But there should be opportunities over the middle of the field, right? Those intermediate
Mm-hmm.
throws that you can hit Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Mac Hollins and all those guys in stride, and then you can make plays after the catch. And so you want to see the Falcons be able to take advantage of those opportunities if and when they come. But I imagine, as you say, a clean game for Desmond Ridder, it is because you believe that the Falcons, game plan, their identity is predicated on running the football. So I imagine, are you concerned about the Falcons being able to run the ball against this Panthers front with a player like Derek Brown, adding Shy Tuttle, who Ryan Nielsen's very familiar with from his days in New Orleans, as well as some of the other playmakers they have in the front seven?
To be honest with you, I'm always going to be concerned about it because when you think about what Drew Dahlman, this is only his second year as a starter, right? We thought he had some days last year, like he had some games last year, and Mr. Brown, was on the other end of those bad days that we saw from Drew Dahlman in that middle. So I think that, and then add on to that, you got a first year starter in Matthew Bergeron. So the concern is definitely there because those guys, to be honest with you, they match up really well against the Falcons' offensive line, given what those names that I just mentioned, right there in the middle of that offensive line. So I think that, that's going to be the thing, right? If you are able to at least get some bodies on a guy like Derek Brown, notice I said more than one, that's plural. Don't try to single block him unless he's for some strange reason he lines up on Chris Lindstrom's side. I'm okay with that matchup. I'm cool right there. But I think overall, they just have to make sure they pick and choose their spots, right? I would even throw the ball on first down from time to time so you can throw them off because I think in Arthur Smith's offense, it's all about keeping the defense off balance because you can kind of, quote unquote, use the positionalist football. Like, and you kind of really don't know where some guys are going to line up when they're in that huddle or coming out of the huddle. So I think that they're going to have to use that to their advantage, if they want to continue to be successful in the run game.
Yeah, I think so. So we'll continue this conversation talking with Jarvis Davis of Locked On Sports Atlanta. We'll talk a little bit more about, there's some pressure on the Falcons this year to deliver in this all-important year 3. And so my question to Jarvis as we continue today's Locked On Falcons is this a must-win game for the Falcons so early in the season in week 1? We'll break that down as we continue today's Locked On Falcons. So as you guys know, I've been a proud member of the Bald Brotherhood for many years. And maybe you're checking us out and you're not quite ready to join that illustrious group, and that's where Nutrafol can help. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, add visible thickness and scalp coverage. Nutrafol supplements use natural ingredients that are backed by science to provide consistent, reliable results. You can take your first step to visibly thicker hair and see why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol by going to Nutrafol.com/men to take their hair wellness quiz and identify the causes of your thinning hair. And Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for better hair health through whole body wellness. Just go to Nutrafol.com/men. And when you do, use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL and you'll get $10 off your first month subscription and get free shipping. That's Nutrafol, spelled Nutrafol.com/MEN, and enter that promo code LOCKEDONNFL. So, guys, I want to thank you once again for making this illustrious Locked On Falcons podcast your first listen each and every day. And for your second listen, why not check out the Locked On Ultimate NFL Season Preview? It is wrapping up this week to get you guys geared up for this upcoming 2023 NFL season, getting plenty of debate and analysis and insight from all 32 of the Locked On NFL hosts. It's a can't-miss series before the season kicks off. Catch every episode of Locked On NFL on Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. So, Jarvis, as I teased earlier, there's a lot of pressure for this regime to deliver now that they're entering year 3. They no longer have to worry about this cap situation. They're no longer, quote unquote, hamstrung by having to try to win with, players that they didn't necessarily bring into the building, all that stuff. So I guess the question is this a must-win game for the Falcons, especially given the goal is to win the division make the playoffs, you kind of got to get these, games like this. You're at home. You get Bryce Young, rookie quarterback. I think the stat is number one overall picks are like winless in the last 20 years in their opening start. I saw another stat where you have to go all the way back to Jeff George, where a quarterback with that was a number one overall pick didn't turn the ball over in his first NFL start, or in week one at least. So it all seems to be lining up for the Falcons. Do they have to deliver? Is this a must win?
Yes, but not to the point of, okay, if you don't win this game, you'll get fired. No, not talking about that, but must win from all the reasons you just laid out. And then looking at the schedule, when you think about, you only have really two divisional games before your bye week, which is in week 11. So when you talking about making sure you have that confidence that you have to win the division, because I believe that's the only way that they're going to get to the playoffs is through the division. It's definitely a must-win game, because you think about going to your third year, and like you kind of got to pass with the whole, hey, we weren't able to spend money, but there is the draft. Like, you can draft well and build that way if you do that, but hey, that's what we're going with, right? They weren't able to spend money. They had to kind of take the lumps and all that stuff and get all these 1 year players and just try to figure it out, right? In the first year. And they were able to win 14 games out of 34. So that's kind of where they are right now. So now you're sitting in a space where you're able to spend some money, you're able to upgrade the talent, you're able to upgrade the roster. You basically rebuilt the defense around Grady Jarrett, who is a guy that's worth doing that for. And when you think about, offensively, you went super young and cheap on offense. So there really isn't any excuse to lose this game when you think about it, because Lord knows, like you mentioned, you lay it out, man. Rookie quarterbacks, man, that first starting game, like those guys don't come out and throw for 3 touchdowns and 400 yards and all that. I know Cam Newton ripped it up in his rookie year, but this isn't Cam Newton. This is Bryce Young. This is a guy that was the number one overall pick and has a lot of question marks about his size and durability and being able to, throw from different angles and all that stuff. Like, with all those things stacked up against the Carolina Panthers, yes, absolutely. This is a must-win game, and the Falcons need to get this dub, especially at home.
Yeah. I generally agree. Even though I said earlier this week on this podcast that there was a scenario where I could see the Falcons starting as poorly as like 0-4 and still making the playoffs this year.
Ooh.
Yeah. But
okay,
it is kind of one of those things where it's like, they kind of need to win, right? It's just like,
absolutely.
Like I can already see it now, Jarvis. Right? Like,
okay, there we go. Yeah.
Let's imagine a scenario where the Falcons lose the game and everybody's going, "Oh my God, the sky is falling," and I'm on, the podcast. We've done our postcast. We've talked about it for 15 minutes, complaining about this or complaining about that. Then I do my full show, and like I'm like, okay, yep. They stunk or whatever happened. They didn't pull it off. Season's not over. Everybody relax, all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, it is like it's all laid out for you, right? It's all laid out for you to go out there and win these types of games. Like, I've been talking with some Falcon fans these last couple of days, and they seem to be of the opinion that like the Falcons are just going to roll in this game. And I'm just like, I don't see that. I don't see that. Like, these are two like evenly matched teams, and it's like the only reason if I'm being honest, like I'm picking the Falcons because it's at home, and like if this was in Carolina, I'd be picking Carolina to win this game. But at the same time, like, because it's at home, like as I said, like everything is set up for you to find some way to win. You don't have to go out there and beat the brakes off of Carolina. It's a divisional game, all that stuff and more. Like, if you have to squeak by on a last-second field goal from Younghoe Koo, do whatever you got to do to win the game, right? But it is one of those things where it does feel like you got to figure out some way to win this type of game, because it's not the rest of the season. Even though I still think the Falcons can start slow and still figure it out by the end of the year, because all I've been saying all summer long is it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But like, it is one of those things where it does really set up well for the Falcons to succeed and take care of business and do the thing that you've been preaching, practice what you preach, all that stuff. So I won't sit here and say it's a must win in the sense like we always talk about those things. Like, if you don't win the game, the season's over, that type of stuff. But it
Right.
is one of
Yeah.
those things where it's like, if you can't win this game, then what are we doing here? You know?
And to be honest with you, the NFL is set up to talk about these games from a week to week basis, right? And from a week to week basis, week one, the way things are lining up, and the Falcons were pretty solid offensively at home last year anyway. They averaged about 25 points a game. I was like, you can add 3 points to that, you cooking with something. If you can get average 4 touchdowns at the crib, yeah, you're doing really well for yourself. And I think that, normally, we've seen the Falcons go out and drop bombs, not in a good way, like stink bombs in the season openers. But I really feel like this is just too perfect for them, and it's almost pushing me to the point to where I'm starting to feel like more than likely they might drop a stink bomb because you got the quarterback maybe put 17 plays in the preseason, and it's just like he ended it on the pick, just like all right, but but from a football standpoint, all jokes aside, like they should win this game. Like at the end of the day, they should win this game. Now, mud stomping, no, they're not that good, but I do think that given how things have gone for them at home. From a scoring standpoint, offense be able to put up points. The defense should be better, like clear. It should be much better than they were last year. This thing is aligning in their favor, and it should go that way. And we should be okay with saying that, right? Because hey man, y'all told us that they had a 3-year plan. Arthur Blank spilled the beans saying, hey, they told me about their 3-year plan, and it's starting to come to fruition. Oh, they were saying they had 3 years. All right, cool. So year 3, we need to see some ROI. We need to see return on investment, right? Like immediately. And I want to see it in the first game.
Yeah, I agree with you. there. I don't know. Maybe it's just being a Falcon fan for as long as I have.
Oh,
and
of course, man. It's PTSD for sure. That's where we are, man. Like, come on.
What confidence going into a week 1 game? What is
that?
I've never felt this before.
Like, what do you mean not having trepidation? What do you mean?
I sit back and I go, like they won in 2017, they lost in 2016, they won in 2015. So it's like they're like 2-6 in their last, however many openers. Like, yeah, that's not great. So like that's part of me where it's like, is it are we turning a new leaf Falcon football where it's like I can actually go into a season?
Aaron, don't do that. Please don't do that. Okay. Like, don't do that because, that's just like given our experiences in covering and really liking this team and following the team, being a fan of the team. We can't do that, man. Like we can't do that. We can talk about this game in a sensible way and have confidence, but we can't go there. Just like you slowed me down on Terry Fontenot being an accurate talent evaluator. You know what I mean? Like I gotta slow you. I gotta stop you right there, Aaron. Like, don't go that far. Like, okay. I'm confident, but don't go that far.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So
it's too early. It
is too early. I agree with you on that one, Jarvis. So, is it? I mean, we'll see. We'll see on Sunday. But like, I know, Jarvis, you weren't necessarily in love with the Jesse Bates signing. You weren't necessarily initially in love with the Bijan pick, but then you saw him, save some kittens out of a tree, and then you were like, well, this guy
start walking on water and all that stuff. You're like, hey, man, it might be legit.
I'm wondering, we're talking about trepidation with the Falcons. I'm wondering how much trepidation do you have going into this week 1 game where you might have to eat some crow on some of those previous takes on Bijan Robinson and Jesse Bates? So we'll break that down as we wrap up today's Locked On Falcons.
Nah, that's a tease.
PrizePicks, guys, is back, and it's a fun, quick way to play daily fantasy. It is simple, and all you got to do is pick 2 or more players, and you pick more or less than their projected stats. It's quick. It's easy. It takes less than a minute. I love doing it right before the Thursday night game. I'm like sitting there, game's about to start. Let me jump on my phone, hit up PrizePicks, put in my injury, and you get your money quick, and you can earn up to 25 times your money. That's, how can you say no to that? And this week I already put in my picks. I'm not waiting to the last second, right? I already put in more across the board. Younghoe Koo, more than 1.5 field goals made. Bijan Robinson more than 21.5 rushing yards on his first 5 carries. And I also have Bryce Young more than 29.5 pass attempts, right? If the Falcons are going to take care of business, they're going to have to force the Panthers to throw the football. So, of course, Bryce Young's going to have to go out there and try to sling it in this game. And all of these make it so that PrizePicks is number one in daily fantasy in terms of their sports app. Just go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use that promo code LockedOnNFL, all lowercase. PrizePicks, daily fantasy made easy. So, guys, before we wrap up today's Locked On Falcons, I want to give you a heads up about the new service I've been teasing all week long, but have been procrastinating on giving you the official plug. We are launching a subtext here for Locked On Falcons, and it's just another way that you guys can interact with me. Think of it like you can text me, you get those one-on-one conversations. You know, I can give you my reactions to news, injuries, anything like that. You won't have to wait a couple of hours till the podcast drop to get my reaction to things. You know, you'll get some pre-game insights, some post-game insights, in-game insights, all that stuff and more. It'll be another great way for you guys to ask questions for future mailbags. I'm still trying to figure out a way how we can kind of incorporate like some film breakdowns into it, but that's potentially on the horizon. Maybe some exclusives that you maybe will get as far as that. It is a paid service, $4.99 a month, but the first 14 days are free, so you can try it out, see if you like it these first few weeks and cancel with no obligation. Something new to look forward to, and I'll put the link in the description below where you can click to join if you're interested. But Jarvis, my friend, let's talk about Jesse Bates and Bijan Robinson, right? You know,
Hey.
what are your thoughts of those two specifically? Because I know, you know, Jesse Bates was like, you know, Calais Campbell's the biggest name of the Falcons free agent haul, but Jesse Bates was kind of the signature move. That's like, okay, this is going to be
got the bag.
Yeah, he's going to tie this whole defense together. Like, you know,
Indeed.
We know Calais Campbell, you know, potentially a Hall of Fame type of player, but like his best years are behind him. Jesse Bates is in the prime of his career, you know, considered one of the best safeties in the NFL, and hopefully, you know, can continue to make that title. And of course, Bijan Robinson is Bijan friggin' Robinson. So, you know, these are kind of the two signature offseason moves. And Jarvis, you know, you weren't at least initially thrilled with those. So we're, you know, a couple of days away from the season opener. I'm curious, where are you at with those guys, and how worried are you that you might have to eat some crow on that Sunday postcast?
I'm not worried at all. Actually, I want to eat crow. I want to put some Tony season on that bad boy. You know what I'm saying? Give me some flour, get some buttermilk, and doggone, drop it in that bad boy and fry it up for about 5-6 minutes. And on 350, man, I'll be ready to rock. Give me some hot sauce and we go, man. I'm ready to eat some crow. I want to eat some crow. Because here's the thing. Like, I like really good football players. As many good football players that you can get on this squad, the better. But from a PTSD standpoint, from a Falcons coverer, fan, all that good stuff, like, I'm tired of not seeing the quarterback get on the ground. So I want to, hey, use that $16 million to go out and go get Javon Hargraves. Maybe you can make a legitimate run at him. But, you know, hey, he a little bit more higher than that. You know, he get a little bit more expensive. So I think that, you know, that's why I was initially kind of taken aback by it, because it was just like, all right, are we doing this whole building the defense or building the team from the outside in again? That's what we're doing. Like, are we not investing in our line of scrimmage like we should be from a draft standpoint and in free agency? So that was one of the reasons why I didn't like the whole Jesse Bates piece. And again, with Bijan Robinson, you know, Jalen Carter out there. And then, you know, I'm seeing Jalen Carter only playing 2 plays because they've seen enough. They understand what he is. Now I'm seeing Jalen Carter is going to be a starter more than likely on the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line, who's one of the best defensive lines in the league at rushing the passer. So that just tells me something, right? Like, so, you know, like, I'm not, and my thoughts and feels aren't knocking those players, right? Because we know they're really good players. Jesse Bates has been an all-pro. Bijan Robinson will turn water into wine on Sundays at 1 o'clock each and every Sunday. So make sure you be there to go see it. Get your ticket. It's going to be there. It's going to happen. I'm gonna have my wine glass ready to drink on Sunday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But I will never ever doubt a player's capabilities and talent. But I'm just saying, from a logistical standpoint and looking at this roster building standpoint, I'm just like, all right, let's start from the inside and work our way out. But yeah, to answer your question, I am ready to eat crow because I want J.C. Bates to be that all-pro that he was a few years ago. I want him to be that guy to lead this defense to a Super Bowl, because that's what he did in Cincinnati. Calais Campbell even said it himself. He was like, hey, that was the guy that stood out when we played against them. Like, I want to hear a potential Hall of Famer talking about J.C. Bates in that light, in that ilk. You know what I'm saying? I want him to be in those conversations. So, yeah, man, I'm ready to eat some crow, dude. Like, I ain't got no problem with that at all.
All right. So, we'll send you a bottle of the Bijan mustard so you can slather it on that deep fried crow.
Mr. Wheat bread, I'm watching my diet. Like, no white bread. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I need wheat bread, man. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my life together. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, gotta get your fiber in,
Yes, man. I need all that, man.
So we'll leave it at that. That's where we'll leave it. Jarvis, my friend, go ahead, plug Locked On Sports Atlanta, what people have in store for them on that channel as we get geared up for not only the NFL season, but the college football season, Braves, MLB season, all that and more. Talk about that.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be a Locked On Sports Atlanta party. It's going down. We're going to be talking about Falcons specifically. It's going to be a panel of people. Like, I can't reveal the names right now because we're still working out the details. So, yeah, make sure you guys stay tuned to Locked On Sports Atlanta. We're going to be updating you on Twitter at Locked On Sports Atlanta. Locked On ATL on Twitter. And make sure you check out our YouTube channel where that's where it's going to be. That's what all the action is going to be. Come on and join the party right here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, and we promise you we're going to take care of you, and you're going to have a good time.
Yeah. You guys might even see me make a couple more appearances every now and then. So, that's
more debauchery with Aaron Freeman. Yes, I love it.
I'm so humble, Jarvis. I'm so humble.
No, you're not. That's why you're so great. You're not humble. That's what made people great. The people who aren't humble and really good at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Don't let people know all my secrets.
Tell us. A matter of fact, in the comments, tell Aaron how great he is, guys. Come on, let's give this man the notoriety that he deserves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here to lift my brother up. Like, you know what I'm saying? We ain't competing against each other. We out here trying to get it, man. That's a talented brother right there. That you listening to and you're watching on YouTube. Come on, stop playing around. Tell him how you feel.
I appreciate that, Jarvis, but I'm so humble.
I might run up on you if you start talking about my boy. I got something for you, dog. I got something for you. You want to run up on my dog?
They got Anthony Rush out the paint, so you can't happen with that. So, continue to make this illustrious podcast.
I'm telling you, man, he got him cut. Like, that man made the phone call, dog. Ever since that man ran up on Aaron on Twitter, you ain't seen Anthony Rush ever since, dog. Like, the man couldn't stop the run no more. The Falcons don't cut him. Like, his life has been the same since he came up against Aaron, man. And you know why? Because he's protected under the blood of Bijan Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. He won brought Bijan Robinson to the squad. Y'all better thank this man. Come on now.
There you go.
But how do we get here?